Hey, yo, it's Friday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo. It's adfreeshows.com, I'm of SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. I'm here flying solo again today. I wanted to cover some ground here that had some good discussion topics, I think, and we got some stuff to talk about. Don't we? But this is Rumor and Innuendo, if I did not say that. But shout out to some folks here tuning in. Ron Ward says, great episode of Working Stiff last night. Make sure you thank Mike for the brief return. Yes. Thank you, Mike Lawrence, who did a hot tag in for Robert Karpelis yesterday. I joined Scott Chaplin in the new episode of Working Stiff. So it was me, Mike, and Scott. We covered a lot of good ground. That went into the dirty details of finishing moves and what if a super kick, a sweet chin music still has as much impact despite everybody spamming super kicks. And so we go into a good discussion on that. We cover some fun ground on there. So check it out. Mike talks about Captain America and his new podcast coming. So tune into that. That is up now on podcast feeds of choice. We got Johnny Disco. Happy Friday, RNI. Wrestling Old Head says, do we get a final boss Rock or a stockholder Dwayne announcing Mania for NOLA? Yes, very, very interesting what we're going to talk about here. Jeff Henninger says, hopefully Dom is loose and limber for RNI after Working Stiff. Ooh, I like it. I like the play on words. Tony Gong says, any chance of getting Scott Chaplin to join one day? Perhaps. That's a good call, Tony. I like that idea. Scott would be a fun one to have on here. And then John Disco says, Rock laying the SmackDown tonight. Yeah, let's talk about it, huh? Rock is coming back to lay the smack or talk some smack. We don't know, but it should be very interesting, right? Look, his Raw Netflix debut, I knew they kind of did that glad handing with Netflix and executives and making this a monumental kind of occasion. The Rock kind of hit those points and kind of took away a lot of what people were getting excited about being a WrestleMania season, seeing where maybe the final boss was going, what it was in terms to the bloodline and in terms to Cody Rhodes, a lot of like loose ends that felt needed to be tied up or continued on. So we didn't get that when the Raw debuted on Netflix with The Rock. The Rock just basically kind of did play babyface, and then shouted out the suits in the stands, and then we got a little interaction with him and Cody and him and Roman, and it seemed like he was babyface to all in that. And so I was kind of I was underwhelmed. I think a lot of fans were underwhelmed, and and The Rock shows up on NXT and then kind of does a pretty good job at kind of hitting the rebound button, where it's just like, hey, just go along for the ride. Shut up and go along for the ride. So he did kind of turn heelish a little bit, and so kind of still made that pretty intriguing. So what does this mean for tonight? What does this mean for Friday night SmackDown on USA Network? I tell you what, USA has to be very happy The Rock decided to come back for a SmackDown here and really get the buzz going here for WrestleMania. But I believe it was Wrestling Old Head said, yes, that obviously. So SmackDown's in New Orleans tonight. There has been reports that WrestleMania 42 next year will be in New Orleans. So is The Rock coming out to say, hey, get ready for next year? We're going to be in New Orleans. And The Rock might be there too. But is that enough? It could be, but is that really going to do what we want out of The Rock? And is that, I think The Rock is smart enough to kind of realize that he's got to kind of do something. And I think there was somebody screenshotted a comment that he has some plans to tell it straight to somebody on the whatchamacallit, on SmackDown. So I'm sure he's going to address something in some capacity. Could this be something where, like, is this a WrestleMania thing? I mean, this year in Vegas, what is The Rock getting involved in some form or fashion? Hey, speaking of getting involved, what's up, Razor? We'll let him walk by the screen. Please don't show your butt. This is a PG show for everybody. So what are we gonna get? Like, I do you want to see The Rock here at WrestleMania? At this point, I do. I always do. I think he made WrestleMania 40 feel like a really, really big deal. Um, I think he can do that with this one, and I think kind of raise the stakes. And if he gets involved in any kind of capacity in certain ways, if he's hosting, that's kind of underwhelming. But if not, I think if he shows up, like the rumors are, what it's Solo Sokoa and Jacob Fatu. Could you imagine The Rock confronting Jacob Fatu tonight, or like The Rock kind of doing something to that effect? Man, and then you have The Rock like as maybe the enforcer of that match or certain things. Um, I would I would like that. I think that would be a good way to utilize him if he's able to show up at WrestleMania. Hey, we also had the news after the show yesterday that he's in a new Scorsese film coming up, an untitled Scorsese project where he will be playing a mafia boss, basically, that's based out of Hawaii. And Leonardo DiCaprio's tied onto the project as well. So, this is going to be a really kind of cool thing, right? Rock is making news, and why not capitalize on it at this point in time? So, I've been a long-standing fan of The Rock. Obviously, him back in the Nation of Domination days. Ken Shamrock was the first who hooked me into the Attitude Era, and I love Ken Shamrock. And then The Rock, kind of his feud with Ken Shamrock, perpetuated me liking The Rock even more too, and kind of liking both guys. So I've always been a big fan of The Rock. Loved the Final Boss stuff that he did last year with in the build to that and turning heel and just embracing that kind of thing. So I think I'm keen on this. I'm optimistic that the Rock is going to rebound after what happened with Netflix and everything like that. I think he knows that hey, the crowd was not that up on it, and they wanted a little something different. They had different expectations, and maybe we'll get a little bit of something of that tonight. So I think pretty excited for SmackDown tonight. I will be doing other things at that moment, which, yes, tonight Rob Van Dam and I will be going live. So 9:15 is usually the plan. I'll confirm it with Rob to make sure. Actually got a text. Is it Rob? No. Yeah, I'll confirm it with Rob, see what time we're doing. So keep your eyes peeled because we're going to go live tonight at some point in time, me and RVD. So you can kind of have two double screen watching going down. Watch SmackDown, watch me and Rob, rvdtv.com. Let's see. So I did want to preview SmackDown too, what they have on tap. There's also another interesting topic I want to cover as well. I think there's some good dirt sheet stuff going on too. Let's take a gander there real quick. There was a funny report from the Wrestling Observer where apparently they stated that Ricky Stark, like the WWE or AEW, figured a big motivator for Ricky Starks leaving AEW was Cody Rhodes being there. Really? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think he saw what Cody Rhodes did. I think he saw what Jade Cargill did. And I think he saw it was much sunnier on the other side of the street and what they weren't doing with him. And creatively, the decisions that were being made, and maybe just and CM Punk, let's not forget him. Like, of course that was something. Yeah, I'm sure that was a primary motivator. I'm sure that's a motivator for a lot of the talent there. Let's see. There's something I want to talk about. Let's talk about this real quick before we preview SmackDown. The real reason Shane McMahon's AEW appearance never happened. All right. Yes. Fightful Select. Wait, let's see. I think I'm over. Former WWE broadcaster Jonathan Coachman made the topic hot again recently after claiming some interesting things about the meeting on his podcast. Per Coach, Shane had demanded equity in the company, and he wanted to run the entire show. Khan, not willing to give in to his demands, then ghosted McMahon. Wow. Yeah, nothing came of Shane McMahon showing up. There was some excitement with the Death Rider angle initially that Shane McMahon was behind it all, and maybe that was the plan. But look, if I understand Tony Khan not wanting to give up, creative control. I mean, it is his company, and this is his baby, and this is you know, I don't want to say a hobby for him, but it's a passion of his. So I understand him not wanting to give up creative control. If those reports are accurate, or what Coachman is saying is on point, I don't think Coach really has a reason to lie, but I don't know like how. So Fightful Select has since provided an update on these claims, confirming that Tony Khan did not want to follow up on his airport meeting with Shane McMahon. Interesting. They also confirmed that McMahon did want to run things, believing that his insight and ability to run the show was valuable. Okay, so there you go. So there's some a little bit more added stuff into it. So I do understand Tony's side of things. I don't understand ghosting necessarily. I would have a sit down meeting where, hey, let's make this a collaboration where we work together on building something, because I do think Shane obviously has knowledge on how to like operate some things and give some suggestions and stuff like that. I do think Tony needs another ear to bend. And like I said before, you could kind of have a little bit of delegation where like Shane is a part of the company in a big part of way, in a big creative way. And if you want to make your brands distinct, like if you really want to separate Collision with Dynamite, then you can do that. Have Shane run a show and then have Tony run the other show. And then you guys work together on formulating and booking a pay-per-view. So I don't understand the ghosting. I do understand Tony Khan being like, I don't necessarily feel like I want to give up my creative control on my company. So, would Shane do a better job? That remains to be seen. And probably will remain unseen, because this does not look like it's going to happen. Maybe. I think I think it really boils down to Tony being like all over the place and having all these plates to spin when it comes to stuff, and then like how he handles. He needs somebody that does have some experience doing this. I understand the aspect of it's my company. I want to make the final decision and be creative input. But man, even if I had a company like I ran AEW, I would be like, I love wrestling. I love coming up creative stuff like that. I can kind of be in certain ways controlling when it comes to creative process. Ask my brother Marcus. But I do understand that, man, I can't do this all, and I do need some help. I wish Tony would take that. I wish Tony would take some help in getting this product done. Hey, Tony, I don't need it. I don't need control of the company. You can just give me a call, and we can collaborate. A collaboration. Let's see here. Let's take a look at a question. Oh, interesting. I like that. Man, wrestling, old head. You got some good takes here. Maybe the Nation of Domination gets announced for the Hall of Fame as well. Could you imagine that? How cool would that be? Man, I loved the Nation of Domination. That music, boom, awesome. Farouk, boom, awesome. D'Lo Brown, can't beat D'Lo Brown. I loved Mark Henry. And of course, you gotta love the Nugget, Owen Hart. Loved his Danger outfit. Loved that he was just the white dude in there, and he fit perfectly in that group. Man, I love the Nation. Two of my favorite action figures, wrestling figures, was that 2-pack Jack Pacific made, the Bone Crunchers of The Rock and Owen Hart. Oh man, I love that Rock figure, and the Owen Hart figure in the Danger outfit was chef's kiss. Two of my favorite wrestling figures. I have them in my other room over there, in my office. Okay. Well, good point. Wrestling Old Head, Godfathers from Vegas. They should include PG-13 who rapped the theme song for a cup of coffee. I don't remember that. I'm sure Robert knows that, though. I think that was a little bit before me getting super in the weeds with wrestling at that point. I think I was 13 years old, more a WCW kid at that point, so I don't think I tuned in necessarily to that. So there, let's pull up SmackDown, see what SmackDown has on tap here. I'm glad I did this before the show. Really Well prepared, Dominic. Damn it, Dom. SmackDown preview. Usually, I have to give a. I always like going for the Fightful for the SmackDown preview because it's like succinct. All right, here we go. SmackDown preview. You guys ready? It is from Nolans, the Smoothie King Center. Shout out to Smoothie King. I love Smoothie King. I lived in Philadelphia for 5 years, and when I would have to take the regional rail to my shoot job, which is a graphic designer for a women's consignment shop, they had a Smoothie King there. I would get a Smoothie King basically every time I got back to the Market East location. There was one, and if you are familiar with Market East in Philadelphia, my goodness, what people watching experience that was. But shout out to Smoothie King and their center in New Orleans. All right, we got Naomi taking on Liv Morgan. Should be cool. Further development into the Jade Cargill storyline. Wonder what will be of that. Wonder what. Look, it doesn't seem like Naomi's the heel here. Maybe we're getting like a little swerve in certain ways, but doesn't. I don't know if Naomi's behind all this now. We got Tamataga and Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. My goodness. Taking on Braun Strowman, Damian Priest, and Cody Rhodes. Man, what a main event that is. That's good stuff right there. And then you got The Rock here. There's something happening. All right, Drew McIntyre taking on Jimmy Uso. What's his name? Big Jim. I like that too. I think Jimmy being involved with Drew elevates Jimmy a lot to the level that, not to quite to the level to Jay, but it's definitely helping. It's definitely helping. Then we got the tag team championships, DIY defending their titles against Pretty Deadly. So I wanted to make a note I didn't make when I watched SmackDown last week. I don't know how much I even talked about SmackDown earlier this week with Robert, but I like that they're showing Pretty Deadly in a different light and that they're showing them with like some fire and stuff like that. Are they turning them babyface? That's the weird thing. They're kind of like in this ground of like almost, you could definitely turn them babyface, I think. And then instead of the outfits that they're currently wearing, you give them something like the Rockers wore. That would be pretty cool. And like, I don't know, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but like glam rock, David Bowie kind of vibes. You could do something pretty cool with those guys and make it a really, really fun tag team. And I hate to scoop the heat of what's the name of the team? Oh my God, the Outrunners. I hate to scoop the heat of the Outrunners, but if WWE creates their own kind of version of them, where it's just like not to the retro, like you do the old school, like, kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff, but you definitely have that kind of aesthetic in certain ways where it's like, you can definitely make it different. Like I would definitely look at all of David Bowie's costumes that he had throughout the year and just be like, throughout his career, and just be like, hey guys, have fun with this stuff and do what you can with it. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to the Inwalkers. And that would be a pretty cool way to present a babyface pairing of Pretty Deadly. You could also do like Motley Crue kind of hairband stuff. So there's some stuff to think about there. And then of course we have The Rock set to appear. What are we going to get from Tiffy? I'm curious. That should be intriguing too. I'm sure we'll get some. Hey, I mean, the show's for 3 hours, so we're going to get stuff. Is that true? Chris Couture? The 6-man main event and Liv versus Naomi have been removed due to The Rock being on the show. Is that a joke since he takes up so much time? Or is that true? Let me see. I think there would have been an article about that if that was the case. But I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody help me out here. Let's take a look at this here too. Golly, I got some stuff to cover. WWE has structured its creative team with multiple lead writers overseeing Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. So according to Wrestling Observer newsletter, SmackDown is now led by Brian Road Dogg James and John Sukada. Love the Road Dogg. Love the Road Dogg. I think people are quick to jump when we're going to talk about this, but people are quick to jump on people. Whether and it completely based off of what they see online, what they see or read about, or stuff like that, and the impressions that they're given. Road Dogg is a very, very creative and smart person. He was his last tenure, which wasn't bad at all. Like he came up, it was great. He came up with Kofi Mania. He came up with, he wanted to put the strap on Big E. He wanted to. There was a lot of cool stuff that Road Dogg did when he was there. But like AJ Styles said, consider everything. Who was in charge at that point? It wasn't Triple H. It was Vince McMahon. So, like, for people to jump on Road Dogg as being like this awful, it's just stupid. Like, granted, I did a podcast with Road Dogg. I was the producer of Oh You Didn't Know. So I got to know Road Dogg. I got to see how his creative process was. He's a super kind and loving person, and funny, obviously super funny. And so he can, and you think about what he's cognizant of when it comes to pro wrestling. His dad's Bullet Bob Armstrong, one of the greatest baby faces there was. And like, so he knows that, and then he knows the entertainment aspect. He's a great head writer. I'll also add too, like he helped out with Ric Flair's last match, and man, he can command a room and get to the point, get stuff focused, everything like that. So I love Road Dogg being a co-head writer of this. Not familiar with Sokeda too much, but I'm sure they are going to be a very, very good pairing. All right, let's dive into the next stuff here. All right. Meanwhile, Raw is managed by Ryan Ward and John Backstrom, with Ed Koskey overseeing and editing scripts. So I know Ryan Ward. I've heard of his name before, and Backstrom. I know of Nicholas Backstrom. I think he was a forward for the Washington Capitals. But I look, Ed Koskey knows what he's doing too. He's been there forever, so there's some good. I think it's really, really good. And Bruce Pritchard, W's executive director of creative writing and talent, serves as the liaison between the writing team and obviously Triple H. So cool stuff there. So there's your creative structure. Now look, just that right there. You got Road Dogg. You got Sequada together. Sequada. I'm butchering the name. I'm not looking at it. Sequada. And then you got the pairings, those two on SmackDown, Backstrom and Ward. And then obviously with Koskey there too. Look at that. 5 people. That's it. They're the head writers. Now, what do we got for AEW? We got Tony Khan. Then we got a rotating group of folks, from Bryan Danielson to people that come into the room. It's just like anybody. Jennifer Pepperman. You got Mike Mansouri, who does a great job. You got like maybe RJ City's involved with some stuff. You got a lot of different things. Set some people. You can have people come in and still kind of do that, but have 2 people, 1 person. Yeah, even that. 1 person on one show, 1 person on another show. Boom. Hey, let's collaborate on the pay-per-view. Let's make it that easy. I don't know. It's so bad. John Sickens. Just another day without you. Nice. Good. I'm glad I did something like that. So yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like what their WWE's doing there. All for it. SmackDown will be in my weekly rotation. Shout out to Road Dogg. Oh, you didn't know. The Mountain Critters. Shout out to the Mountain Critters. The people who know. Let me see. Rumor, innuendo. Guys, if you have questions, I'm going to have one more topic here before I close out the show. So if you have questions, get them in. Let me know what you, if you have, want me to talk about something in particular that I'm missing. I'm just very much glancing at the news. So, but it always kind of, makes me hungry. And there's no better thing I like for breakfast than cereal. And, I am getting older. I am turning 40 in June, like I said yesterday. I don't feel 40, and maybe partial credit I have to give to Magic Spoon because it is a breakfast cereal that is light and high in protein and not a lot of sugar at all. So let's talk about a little bit of Magic Spoon. It's the cereal. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, zero grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs. So you can feel good about what you're eating. Absolutely. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. Yeah, I like it though. Like I didn't shout it out yesterday, but I love the frosted, just the frosted ones. Like those are great. Man, I ate a whole bunch. I ate a whole bunch of those. And they also have the treats too. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, and airy, and easy to get. 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. I like the marshmallow the best, I think. Yeah, that's a big thing. And yeah, Magic Spoon, it's like you can eat it and you don't have to. I love like the old classic cereals and everything like that, but it's just like when you have a couple bowls, you're like, what did I do? You don't feel that way with Magic Spoon. And it's a very health conscious, and you get a little energy going with the eating the protein and getting what you need on some of that. So you can get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/rumor, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/rumor for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream, daddy. That's right, baby. Before I talk further about wrestling, who's a Counting Crows fan? Anybody? Anybody my age? So speaking of Magic Spoon and turning 40, Counting Crows came out with a new song today. You guys should check it out. Well, if you have Spotify, Google or Spotify it up on there. You know, it's a good tune. I like it. Let's see here. Looking at the board here. You see any of the TNA stuff? Oba invades TNA tags with the Hardys and Elijah from IWC. Yeah, aka Elias from W. What these at TNA? Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. There's a lot of worlds colliding here. Hardy Boys, Oba Femi, Elijah, Elias. Somebody else showed up too on TNA that we weren't expecting. Who was the other person? There was somebody else there. Help me out here. Dom, if Robert's internet is still down by Raw, will you fill in live tweet during the show? I don't have as much of a following as Robert has. That's certainly true. Robert's got way more followers than I have. So I sometimes live tweet during Raw when I can, but I won't be there. I'm actually checking out a sketch show that my buddy's doing in downtown Pittsburgh Monday night. So yeah, I can't do it this week. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. So part of what happened on TNA Impact was Tessa Blanchard was there. Obviously, she's the Knockout Women's Champion, the Knockouts champ. Well, there was some crowd chants towards her way regarding the racist allegations that from years back. And coming for you, Tessa. We're coming for you, or something like that, meaning the Hulk Hogan Booker T quote thing. And Tessa, I think, handled it well from what I saw. And it made me think about it. I think it's just a shame. I think it's a shame that there is this mindset and contingency of like, hey, let's end this person's career. Let's do this. Where number one, an apology. Well, she and La Rosa Negra made up years ago. This was all, thing, and then it came back up to fruition. And I can say that, like I said before on Rumor and Innuendo, that a lot of this stuff, like, you got to think of the political games that are being played behind the scenes sometimes. Look at Charlotte Flair is getting booed pretty good, right? Charlotte Flair's getting booed. There's some reports when it comes to the the women's division and thoughts of that backstage. Don't you think people think Charlotte Flair is a threat to maybe the position that they're going to be in? And some women might think that way. Some, and that's across the board. That's like, it's a competitive. It's very much Glengarry Glen Ross. If you're familiar with that film, which I'm going to see March 4th, March. Oh my God, March 10th. That's less than a month away. That I'm going to see up in New York City. Bill Burr, Bob Odenkirk, Kieran Culkin. Excited, very excited. But to what I'm talking about, you don't think there's some like agendas going on here? Like, what do you think really perpetuates some of this stuff? I think there's some rhyme and reason to it. And take that for what you will. But I think, how does Tessa handle this? Right? This is like, not only is it taking away from your product when a chance like this, I think there's some pros and cons when it comes to like an energetic, intimate crowd. You get that ECW vibe where the fans are like, wow, they're really part of the show. They're really helping enhance the show. And then there's this moment where like they're kind of hijacking the show. How do you walk that fine line? And something as what's the word I want to use for? As hot button as this is, really can really disrupt the show, right? Like I said, I think Tessa handled it well. I think she just played a heel. You know what I mean? And powered through it. There's a lot. I mean, if somebody's throwing that stuff at your way and chanting some other stuff that they were saying too, like you're a racist, like I would throw a lot of people off their game. And I think Tessa, for what she did a pretty good job. So let's see what Devin says. Devin says Tessa Blanchard has more heat than X-Pac in the late 90s right now. Triple H says the fans just wanted something to yell, all call her racist, but buy her merch and wait for her at signings. If they wouldn't waste their time. It's a great point. Yeah. So I think, how do you handle this? Right? How do you, if she's a good star, she keeps getting that. You gotta almost, it's like a bully where it's just like you gotta ignore it. But I don't think you should lean into it, right? Obviously, but you play into your heel, you act like a heel, and that's it. I think you just power through it if she's capable and she's very competitive. I think she's able to do it, and you just press on. You press on. I wouldn't be reactionary if I was either TNA or anything to that effect. But I think, if Tessa does end up going to WWE, I don't think, I'm sure there will be the fan base that reacts, to an extent. But will it carry over to the mass audience? I don't know. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. I feel bad for her. I do. And I don't think, I think, and she's been gone for how many years? And now she's back into it. I don't think it's really fair. I don't. And I don't think, people are thinking that she should apologize and she should say something. Well, number one, maybe she doesn't feel that way. Maybe not we know the whole details, the ins and outs of it all. And number two, the person that she was accused of saying that to, they made up. So I don't know. I just don't, I don't think it's I think it's an unfortunate thing. I think it's really a kind of a sad thing because she's very talented. She's great on the mic, and everybody, people are trying to move on from it, and then the crowd's just throwing it back there. If I was TNA, I'd stay the course. Don't change it up, and do what you got to do. Obviously, don't lean into those aspects of anything, and try to make it a story of something. But I think you have somebody like Core Jade confront her, which I thought was cool, and you're kind of changing that over and things like that. I think just press on. And like if I were to Tessa, I would just press on too, and just don't. Yeah, it's such a weird thing, right? Um, Devin says, I'm a fan of Tessa. Not going to lie. I wish she wouldn't get this type of reaction still. It's not like she came out and was racist to everyone. It was a private situation that the public had blown away with. Yeah. And again, it's like, we don't know all the details. I like, and from what I've heard, like it's a political game going on. Like there's just, there's a people feel threatened by Tessa and they reacted in a certain way. So that's that. That's that. So that's just, let me see. Oh, here we go. The IWC and fans in the crowd yelling racist just being children, especially when Rosa don't even have an issue with her now, and they know this. Yeah, I think they're just like, let's do something to heat us up, right? To make some news and that kind of thing. So I just, yeah, I don't know. Would it hurt her to publicly apologize? I think people will be like, I think it's going to be kind of like a split thing, Tony. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think some people will be like, okay, she apologized. Let's move on. Then I think there's another one that would be too little too late. They would give that dynamic. Oh, she's just doing this because of the reaction she's getting. And so is it really sincere? I think that would be something. Like, again, I don't like in her. Does she owe an apology? I don't know. Like, I don't like this was her situation. This was her incident that she had, alleged incident she had with La Rosa Negra. So it's like, we don't know the details. Like maybe she doesn't feel that way. And maybe she, like, I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. Let's see what Ron says. I'd think I'd make her a heel and kind of lean into it. Maybe have her feud with a baby face and let the crowd get it out of their system. I think that's not a bad idea in certain ways, right? I think you could kind of do something. I don't know though. That would really fan the flames. Maybe in certain ways. It's just something you have to be smart about. I think organically, you could make something kind of happen. I think where it's just like whoever comes up, if it's like a Tasha Steelz, is she still there, Tasha Steelz, or like somebody? I don't think you should shoehorn stuff in. I think just let things develop and see how it goes. I think that's your best course of thing. And the thing with Hogan here, so people do make those comparisons about Hogan and things like that. Number one, we've heard what Hogan said outright. We heard it. Number two, Hogan, it was reported Hogan didn't really give people an apology. Like, and the WWE locker room was not satisfied with how he handled things. Hogan is his own entity in a lot of ways, where it's just like he even admitted, like, yeah, I told about the union, of course I did, kind of stuff. So it's just like, and Hogan's like this, like, so we never got something, where we knew what Hogan said, and then Hogan never really did give us an apology for what was said there, and I think the WWE locker room kind of read through it, and Hogan just kind of continues on with his brand and his identity of the Hulkster and Hulkamania and Real American Beer and things like that. So I think it, and obviously Hogan's a household name, and Tessa Blanchard's just like a rising star. So it's just like there's a different dynamic there. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like I really don't think what you hear has been fair. And what it like, just know there's like sides to every story here, and but obviously it's wrestling, And there's a contingency and an ardent fan base that knows all these or thinks they know all the ins and outs of everything, and then they'll play into it. And then you have the social media aspect of it all. Where, too, I'm sure people are aware that I think it's only like 20% of the world's on social media, so it's a very small contingency. And then there's the hive mindset that goes with a lot of the things, and a lot of people. If you're not aware of how social media operates, context is not that key on social media. People don't consider everything, and it's just like black or white. It's just one way or the other. So there's my thoughts on that. Oh my gosh, I don't know, Jeff Henninger. If this was late '90s or early 2000s, man, if this was something, that was under the Vince umbrella, or geez, either Vince umbrella, the McMahon or Russo, you could kind of see something like that happening. Oh my God, I am not gonna wrestling old head. I see what you wrote there, but I guess that'll do it, guys and gals. If Kami's tuning in or anybody else's, shout out to Nesha. Nobody knows who Nesha is, but shout out to her from way back when in the WrestleZone days. But that'll do it for me. Like I said, RVD and I plan to record tonight, probably 9 p.m. 9:15 as usual. But we'll see how it goes. Keep your eyes peeled on the social medias. But be sure to subscribe to rvdtv.com. Like, share, subscribe. Help us grow that channel and make it even bigger. We're up to 15,000 subscribers, which is great. So thank you for everybody who subscribed and do that. And be sure to like us and share us on the podcast feeds. Give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Do the same for this show too. Rumor and Innuendo. If you haven't yet, to help us boost on up. We're one of the few daily wrestling shows going on here, including on your podcast platform of choice. So yes, help us out. Be sure to check out the new Working Stiff with me, Scott Chaplin, and Mike Lawrence. Fun one, like I said earlier in the show. And hey, if you're in the Pittsburgh area this weekend, tomorrow, my degenerate brother Marcus will be in a Survivor Series style match as he represents Team Justin Plummer going up against Team Jock Sampson. And it is called IWC Civil War. I may be on commentary for a few matches, so keep a lookout on that. There's a WEID match going down between Sam Legacy and Sam Holloway. So it's a fun show. You can check it out. You can get your tickets. Just type in IWC Wrestling, and there's a route to get there to get your tickets. But if you're not in the Pittsburgh area, go to Fight and subscribe to Fight TV or Triller TV. And you can there's a free trial that you can do initially, 7-day free trial. Or I think it's only like $6.99 a month. You can check it out. And that happens tomorrow. So it's a fun presentation. I got to shout out a lot of those guys, like Triple E mentioned. Elias is usually hanging around there. He's been involved in a couple of the stories and things like that going on. So you never know what could happen. Always a fun time. And this is always a fun time. Rumor and Innuendo, where we go live every Monday through Friday on the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube, on the Ad Free Shows YouTube, on the Working Stiff YouTube. Plus, we go live on SC Scoop's X account, my X account at Dominic D'Angelo, and Robert Karpolis's X account at WD Creative_ish. Be nice to have Robert back on Monday. He's dealt with the internet devil going on, so he's been out of action, and now he's on assignment for Friday. So it will be nice to have him back on Monday. Nice to have you all back on Monday if you care to join, and appreciate what everybody's helps, the input that people give, and the shout outs. So shout out to Joseph Wade Walters too. He gave me some kind words earlier in the day, so appreciate that. So see you guys on Monday. Enjoy The Rock, enjoy the final boss, and let's lay the SmackDown on pro wrestling. All right, we'll see you next time.